with the biggest story of the day, and that is the news that DeWanna Bonner is no longer with the Indiana Fever. It was reported last night that DeWanna Bonner had no intentions on returning to the Indiana Fever, and then the news broke today that the Indiana Fever had indeed.
DeWanna Bonner recently shocked the WNBA by abruptly leaving Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, a move many viewed as a betrayal. Her attempt to maneuver her way onto a new team has completely backfired. Now, Bonner faces widespread blacklisting across the league, significant financial loss, and serious damage to her reputation. This is the story of how a once-respected veteran undermined her own legacy in just a few weeks, and the immediate consequences that followed.
She said, "I want to sincerely thank the Indiana Fever for the opportunity to be part of the Fever franchise. Despite our shared goals and excitement heading into the season, I felt the fit did not work out, and I appreciate the organization's willingness to grant my request to move on, particularly at this point in my career. I wish the Fever great success as they continue to build around this dynamic group."
The news initially came through a formal, corporate-style press release. The Indiana Fever announced that they had approved DeWanna Bonner's request to part ways with the team. In her official statement, Bonner expressed gratitude to the organization and stated, in general terms, that despite shared goals, the fit wasn't right. She wished the young team continued success as they developed. On the surface, it appeared to be a mutual and professional separation. However, beneath this polite presentation lay a far more turbulent and dramatic story.
If another team claims her off the waivers, she gets her full salary. She gets her full salary if another team claims her off the waivers.
Behind the carefully chosen words, a respected veteran was making the shocking decision to leave her team mid-season, sparking turmoil in a locker room that desperately needed stability. This wasn't about a poor fit. Bonner deliberately chose to abandon a team of young, impressionable players who had relied on her leadership, leaving them to face the intense media scrutiny surrounding Caitlin Clark entirely on their own.
Thing that makes DeWanna Bonner look really, really bad. It makes DB look really, really bad. And it's the fact that she has told all other teams, other than the Mercury, don't sign her.
When a WNBA player's contract is terminated, they are placed on waivers. This gives the other 11 teams in the league a 48-hour window to claim the player, along with their guaranteed salary. For a three-time All-Star like DeWanna Bonner, with championship experience, being picked up should have been a near certainty. She was essentially a free asset for any team seeking veteran depth, a proven scorer who could contribute to a contender or mentor a younger roster. Yet, as the 48-hour period passed, an unexpected and deafening silence swept across the league. No team made a move.
And look, I understand that's where she wants to go. Why didn't she go there in the summer? We know why, because she couldn't have got her max contracts. And by the way, people are like, oh, they can give her the minimum. No, they can't. The Phoenix Mercury can give her a prorated $80,000 salary for the rest of the year. So she's only going to lose about 30k-ish. And she's going to lose about 40, 50k. Whereas they would have been only able to sign her earlier on. Well, they would only be able to sign her for nothing. Because again, we can't forget as well, the Phoenix Mercury cut Sevgi Uzun. The Phoenix Mercury have a bunch of players signed on hardships and a bunch of players that they can cut. Like they literally cap space magicked up. And as soon as cap space magics up for the India or for the Phoenix Mercury,
not a single team put in a claim. Every franchise in the WNBA assessed the situation and collectively decided that Bonner wasn't worth the trouble, even at no cost. This shattered any pretense of an amicable split. It was a league-wide rejection, a glaring signal of just how disruptive her exit had been. As the waiver process concluded, the true reason for the silence began to emerge behind the scenes. Insiders reported that Bonner was orchestrating a bold power play. She was actively reaching out to other teams, urging them not to claim her off waivers. Her goal was to manipulate the system and secure a move to a single target destination, the Phoenix Mercury. The audacity of this strategy was staggering. Even superstars in their prime, such as Jimmy Butler, have faced criticism for attempting to force their way out of situations, but Bonner's maneuver took it to an entirely new level. But Bonner, a 36-year-old veteran clearly in the later stages of her career, was acting as if she held the leverage of a league MVP. She demanded to dictate her next team like a free agent, disregarding the fact that she had walked away from a binding contract. She wanted the best of both worlds, to quit on her current team while retaining full control over her next destination. However, her plan contained a critical flaw that would expose the riskiness of her strategy and turn her dream destination into a potential nightmare. The Phoenix Mercury, the very team she had sought at the expense of alienating the rest of the league, was reportedly hesitant to sign her. Sources suggested the Mercury's front office was concerned about bringing in a player who had just shown a shocking willingness to abandon her team when faced with challenges. The Mercury were cultivating strong chemistry with a young, motivated roster that had fully bought into the system and was exceeding expectations. Why risk destabilizing that fragile dynamic for a veteran who had just proven she couldn't be relied upon in tough moments? Bonner left Indiana assuming Phoenix would be a safe landing spot, only to discover that reality was far less welcoming than she had arrogantly expected. The financial consequences of her miscalculation were just as severe as the damage to her reputation. By going unclaimed on waivers, Bonner automatically forfeited the remainder of her guaranteed $200,000 contract with the Indiana Fever. When she eventually signed with Phoenix, it was on a prorated veteran minimum deal, which would pay her roughly $80,000 for the rest of the season. In simple terms, she voluntarily walked away from over $120,000. This wasn't a strategic business move. It was a massive, self-inflicted financial blow. Bonner's belief in her own hype and her attempt to dictate terms to the entire league cost her a six-figure sum. The failed power play painted her as both selfish and remarkably short-sighted in the eyes of league executives and fans. But the consequences went beyond money and reputation. The real human impact was felt most by the one player who had needed her guidance, Caitlin Clark. When Bonner joined the Fever, she was presented as a seasoned mentor who would support the rookie phenom through the pressures of her first professional season, guiding her during early practices and preseason games. Clark had been eager to learn from Bonner, putting in extra effort to build chemistry, but instead of guidance, Bonner showed the young roster that quitting when things get tough was acceptable. What looked like a sudden decision now seems calculated. She leveraged Indiana for media attention and money, then left as soon as Phoenix cleared cap space. The league's silence and lack of support from fellow players underscore the unprofessionalism of her actions. Beyond personal fallout, Bonner's mid-season exit threatens WNBA contract integrity, setting a dangerous precedent for future players. While she reached her goal of joining Phoenix, she did so at the cost of over $100,000, her reputation, and her legacy, forever remembered not as a leader or champion, but as the player who abandoned Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever.